Hello and welcome to another Blender Cookie tutorial. This is David Ward, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you a little bit about the human meta rig that is included by default into Blender 2.5. As you can see, I'm using 2.5 beta, which is now available. You can get this from blender.org. If you don't have it already, I highly suggest that you get it. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead and clear out my scene. I don't need any of the default objects that are in there. And I'm going to Shift A, I'm going to add an armature, and I'm going to add this human meta rig. You can see that it kind of looks kind of small, relatively speaking, but I guess it's accurate via the Blender units, which, if you look, you can see kind of the more pale gray squares, grid pattern here. These are roughly 1 meter tall a piece, or 1 meter square. Oops, hit my Windows button by accident. So our little character here, 1 meter is roughly 39 inches, which is a little 3 inches more than a yard as far as United States units go. So this guy is roughly, he's probably right at 6 feet tall, or a little less than 2 meters tall. So anyways, excuse me. Let's go ahead and jump in here and start editing this guy. Just go into tab into edit mode, and I personally like to work with B-bones. So just go over here to the object data, the little guy standing there with this Vitruvian man position, and just, I like to use B-bones, so that's what I'm going to use. And you can see here that they're all really big. And previous versions of Blender, the way to fix that, you just select everything. You would hit Alt S to scale them smaller, but you can see that doesn't do anything right now. So you have to add Control to the mix. So now you hit Alt Control S, and you can scale them that way. So go ahead and scale them down quite a bit, maybe about right there. Okay, now the best part that I like about this rig, hold on, let me get a glass of water, my throat's kind of dry. Okay, that's better. Now, as I was saying, my favorite part of this pre-made rig here is that it's built pretty much the dimensions you want it, and everything's already named. So I select that forearm there. If you scroll down here on your properties panel, you can see forearm.L, and then upperarm.L. Palm, it's kind of arranged like a real human skeleton would be as far as the hands go. Instead of just one hand bone, it's got 4 bones that you can curve to make the hand curl around more naturally. But some of these I don't need. Mostly I'm going to be putting some constraints on here, so I don't want to have to do it twice. So I'm just going to go ahead and select all of the right side here, these guys too, and I'm just going to go ahead and delete them. And then I'm going to do everything here on the left side, and then I'll just copy it over. Okay, so let's go ahead and pop into pose mode, and you can kind of see the way this is arranged. First thing I want to set up is the feet. So let's go to the side view, 3 on your numpad, and tab back into edit view, and go ahead and select these guys here. I'm just going to go and pull them down until they're even with the rest of the foot bone here. I'm going to kind of bring that in so it's more shaped like a foot. Now, one thing I need to add here is an IK Constraint controller bone. So I'm just going to select the little ball joint there and hit E to extrude, and I just want to extrude it out on the Y-axis, so I just hit Y on my keyboard and just drag my mouse, and it'll extrude out like so. And you can see it's kind of twisted, so I'm going to grab it and hit Control N. I'm going to recalculate the bone roll so the Z-axis is pointing up, and there we go. Now I need to kill its parent, just separate it from its parent, which right now is the shin bone, and I can do that over here. Just go to your bone settings, and just where it says parent, click in there, hit delete, and just hit enter on your numpad. I notice if you hit enter on your normal keyboard, it doesn't seem to want to take, but if you use it on the numpad, it works fine. So now, tab out, you can see it's totally separated. I want to add it to the foot bone here, so I'll just grab that first, and then shift grab that one, Control P, and connect it as, no, don't want connected actually. Well, I do, but there's one thing I need to do first. Okay, I need to grab the foot bone, and I'm going to hit W, and I'm going to switch the direction. And I need to do it again. Sometimes it doesn't take the first time, so then Control N to recalculate the bone roll. So now if I go here and rotate it, see it's rotating down here because I flipped the direction, switched direction. Okay, so now go ahead and grab the, let's go ahead and rename it actually, ikheal.l will be fine. Grab that, Control P, and connect it is fine. So now if we go into pose mode, you can see that it follows along. And I need to parent this, the foot bone and our toe bone to our heel, our whole foot controller, which is called heel.l. So I'll just grab both of those, holding shift, and then select that one last, Control P, and keep the offset. So now, go back to pose mode. I grab this one, move it around, it moves the whole foot. Grab this one, rotate it, it just moves the top of it, which is exactly what I want. So now, I want to add a constraint to our shin here. Actually, let me bend this leg just a little bit more. Bring the top of the thigh down some. About like so. Okay, this will deform a little, or the IK constraints will be a little better now. Okay, so I'll grab the IK controller for the heel, and then hold down shift to grab the shin bone, and I'm going to hit shift I, add an IK constraint to there, and go over here to our bone constraints, and give it a chain length of 2. So now, when I move the foot, the leg follows with it, and I can rotate it on its heel. Say you want him to stand on his tiptoes, now you just grab that bone there, and rotate that, and like so. Pretty neat little setup here. Okay, now, before we go any further, I want to say that we need, since these are just controller bones, we don't want them to deform the mesh at all that we apply to this particular rig later on. So we need to tell it to not deform. So we just grab that, go to our bone settings, scroll down here and see where it says deform, just uncheck that, and I want to do the same thing to this guy, uncheck that. So now when we apply it, it'll only accept the toe, the foot, and then the shin. It was not going to accept these two guys right here. They're just there for control. Okay, so let's just clear out that rotation and that one there as well. And one thing you'll notice, if you just leave the leg as is, if you move the foot up like this, sometimes you'll get some weird problems going on with the knee. I guess the knee is far enough forward to not really cause problems, but it's a good idea to go ahead and compensate for it anyways by creating a target for the knee to point out. So, back into edit mode, grab our knee, extrude out on the wax, same thing we did with the heel, just drag it out, and let's grab that, and let's see, we've got the parent here is the thigh bone right there, so just going to delete that, and let's drag it out. Oops. Okay, it shouldn't be connected anymore. There we go. Okay. Just drag it out quite a bit, about like so, and we're going to parent it to the top of the foot bone. So just shift select that, Control P, keep the offset. And now tab back into pose mode. You can see that we rotate the foot around, the knee follows. So we need to tell the thigh to point at our knee target there. So just select that, or actually select the knee bone first and then that one, and control and actually shift I to active bone. You can see it kind of distorts everything. But the way to fix that is just go to your constraints panel and set the chain length to 1. So now you move the knee around, knee bone around the knee, the leg will follow. But we need to go ahead and rename this knee bone, so we'll just name it knee.L. Okay, more sip of water. Okay, so we got a pretty decent little leg set up here. Let's go into the hand. And select one of those guys, period, on our numpad so we can zoom in on it there. And these hand bones are a little too thick, so I'm going to select them all and Alt-Control-S, scale them down some. About like so, will be fine. Okay, now I'm going to show you a little trick that it's kind of a spin-off of what you might have seen. I think Dimitri, is his name, did the hand rig for the Shaman model. You just select one, and you do a lot of copy rotations, and it saves a lot of your workload. So let's start doing that. I want to set the hand to kind of curl around, like if he makes a fist and the pinky goes down, more, you know, like this shape, then straight across. I'm going to show you how to do that. Piece of cake. So just grab our pinky bone. It's going to be our controller. Shift select the ring finger bone. This is just the palm bones. and we're going to go Control-Shift-C, copy the rotation, set it to local space, and the influence, we're going to say 0.66. We're going to go two-thirds. This one's going to follow it 2/3 of the way, this will be 1/3, and this will be 0/3. So you kind of think of it as 3/3, 2/3, 1/3, 0/3. So now we'll do the same thing with the middle finger. Control-Shift-C, copy rotation, local space, influence is going to be 0.33. So now, if I rotate our pinky bone, you can see the hand kind of follows along, but not all the way, which is nice and more of a natural type of deal. So let's clear that out. And now, let's go through and set where, if we just rotate this guy, the two tips of the fingers kind of follow suit. So we'll select that first and do the same thing. Control-Shift-C, copy rotation, local, and I'm going to set this to we'll go 0.75 on these guys. Same thing on the further tip. And 0.75. One little trick you can do that'll save you a little bit of time is, so you don't have to type this in, just mouse over that, Control-C, it'll copy that number out, and then when you do it on the other fingers, copy rotation, just mouse over, Control-V, and it'll paste it in there. Local space. This will save you a little bit of time. Copy rotation, local. Alright, a couple more fingers to do. Oops, Control-V. Oops, I hit Control-C on accident, so I've got to type it back in there, and I'll go ahead and Control-C that again, so it's back in my clipboard. Copy. When you copy something, it goes to your computer's clipboard. So, that again. Paste it. There we go. Local. Okay, and the thumb will do the exact same thing. Almost done. Okay, so now when we bend one of these finger joints, actually we need to set this to be, the orientation to be normal, so it's along the bone's normal axis rather than the global. If you rotate that, you can see the rest of the finger is rotating along with it. So it's a lot easier to make a fist, so you don't want to flip you off on accident. So you curl all the fingers down, and then you grab the pinky palm bone and rotate that. Kind of see that it makes a little bit more of a realistic looking fist. So one more thing I want to do with our little hand tricks here. Select all these, clear out. I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing, kind of the same thing I did on the hand here, the palm bones. Except I'm going to copy it across the fingers. So do that, and I'm going to give it the 0.66 again. And it's going to be local and local. Make sure you got to do the local. Local influence. This is going to be 0.33. Okay, so now when I rotate the pinky, the other two fingers kind of follow along with it and kind of get a nice, kind of a limp pose there with your hand. By just rotating your pinky finger and your pinky palm, you can get that nice pose right there. Then for your finger, just rotate that. Or say he's like pointing directly at something. The thing about changing back to the, can't see anything. There we go. Changing the influence, as long as it's not 100%, you can still manipulate the bone that's being copied. Now, if I set this to 100%, it's not going anywhere when you try to rotate it. So, being 75% still gives me some control about, like, say, let's clear that one. Say he's pushing his finger onto the wall or something like that. You can still rotate the tip of the finger down. So, okay, so let's select all these, clear out the rotation. Alt-R, by the way, clears the rotation. We kind of got our hand the way we want. One thing I want to show you real quick is these fingertips are following the rotation of this bone no matter which way it rotates. So it's all fine and nice when you're rotating there on the x-axis, but what if you want to rotate it down some? This is pretty much just for the thumb because the other fingers kind of just rotate you know, like a hinge basically, or rotate like this. It's kind of twisting around. So the way to solve that is just to turn off those axes on these joints here. So now when I rotate like that, it's all fine. It only copies when I'm rotating on the x-axis, as you can see there. Like that. Okay. Clear out that. Now, we got their finger saved. Let's go ahead and save this. I'm going to go ahead and save as, and I was playing with this yesterday, so I'll go ahead and name it human_rig. Save and overwrite. Okay, so we've got our leg and our hand. Now let's do the arm. The first thing I want to do on that is grab my hand bone here, pop into edit mode, and I'm going to shift D, duplicate it, Control Alt S, make it quite a bit bigger so I can determine between the two, the hand and the what's going to be the IK hand.L. Okay. And now I need to go to our bone settings here and delete the parent there. So we go back into pose mode. I can move it around. You can see it's not connected to anything. Now, a little bit of trickery we're going to do here to kind of get around some chaining issues, a looping chain loop. So because if you try to set your IK chain on your arm to the hand, since the hand is parented to the arm, it gets confused and it doesn't work. So we have to go through and kind of fudge it a little bit. The hand is going to, actually we need to select the IK controller first and then shift select the hand bone. If we go to wireframe view, you can see it a little easier. Select the big one first and then the little one. And we're going to Control Shift C, copy the rotation this time. And this time, go to our constraints, we're going to keep that influence to 100% because we don't need to move it any other direction than we're going to be moving the controller bone. But we still need to make sure it's going to be in local space. So there we go. So now, tab back into solid view and in the pose mode. Now we grab our big bone and rotate it no matter what. The hand follows. Okay. Now, we're going to set a constraint here on the forearm to follow our new IK controller hand bone. So we'll select that first and then shift select our forearm there and then shift I, add an IK constraint. IK stands for inverse kinematics, by the way. And let's set the chain length to, since we got some extra shoulder bones up here by default, we'll go ahead and set it to 3. So now, when we move our hand, the arm's going to follow. How cool is that? Seems like it's not exactly following exactly the way I want. Okay, that's all correct. Should be staying put on it. I don't know why it's... Oh, did I do location, maybe? Grab the right one. No, it's rotation. Okay. I don't know why it's not copying it exactly. That's weird. Let's go into edit mode. Let's turn on our axes. Let's go to object data there and turn on axes. And let's just take a look in here. Let's go into wireframe view. So we got this bone. Where is he pointing? Okay, looks like... Okay. And this guy... Yeah, they're pointing the exact same way. I don't know why it's... Well, let's do one more constraint then. Maybe that'll help solve it. Excuse me. Another sip of water real quick. Okay. So grab our big bone, then our little bone. Control-C. This time we're going to actually copy the location as well. Go to our constraints panel here. A local space. Local space. Oh, I know why. Let's go ahead and delete that one. This particular instance, we don't need it to copy the local space. We need to copy the world space, the default setting. There we go. So now, whenever I move it, it's going to copy. So all the fingertips and everything need to follow local but the hand needs to follow world. Okay, so let's clear that rotation out. And one more thing I want to do with our little forearm here. Let's grab that and go to our bone settings here. Go to deform. Actually turn off deform for the controller. Boop. Okay, and the forearm, let's give it a few segments there. Now you can see it's got segments, but it's kind of doing an S-curve thing, which is natural for a B bone, which is Bezier bones. It's like a Bezier curve. But let's turn those off. Ease in and ease out all the way down to 0. And since our hand is parented to the wrist and it's only following, it's copying the rotation of our controller bone, it's still going to manipulate the wrist bone and twist it around. So that's pretty cool stuff right there. So when you got a nice mesh on here, you don't have just an abrupt twisting from the wrist to the hand. You can have a nice gradual twisting like that. Okay, now one issue arises when you're doing this, rotating around. So I can see if I can get it to occur. There we go. You put it in extreme positions, the rotation of the forearm kind of goes crazy. See, it's like kind of normal, and then you do it right there, and it kind of spins around. Now the way to fix that, pop into edit mode, grab our forearm, and see where it's parented to the upper arm? That's fine, that's the way we need to, but we don't need it connected, so let's just unconnect it there. And now we can move however we want to, and it's not gonna, well, I guess it still is, isn't it? Well, that used to solve that problem, I guess. Maybe if you don't put it in a very extreme position. Just don't twist it around so much, maybe. Maybe that was the problem. So, yeah, that'll work. Okay, so let's clear that out. Clear out the location. And I'm not going to need some of these bones up in here. So these two, for example, I don't think I need. So I'm just going to go ahead and tab into edit mode and just delete those guys. And one thing for my sake that I like to do, I don't like the legs to point straight forward. I like to kind of give them an angle. So let's rotate those on the Z-axis just a little bit and then drag them over some. Like so. Okay, so now got that kind of pointing to the side. Okay, a couple more things to do. Select everything, clear those out, clear the location as well. Alt-G. There's some extra bones in here that I'm not sure what they're for. I know I've seen some different things, but I don't need them for my particular rigging, so I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of them. I just need, let's see, let's delete that one. Let's see which one's connected. There we go. Delete that one there. And this guy I'll still use, but I need to relocate him. So I'm going to grab, actually let's grab the bone first and Control Alt S and make it a little bigger so we can distinguish it from this bone here, which we're about to put him in the exact same location. I'm going to grab the tip of this guy, Shift S. I'm going to put the cursor to our selection, and then grab this guy, Shift S, and have our selection to the cursor. So there we go. This guy, let's go keep it in wireframe view, but let's go to pose mode. This guy's going to rotate there, and then this guy's going to rotate there, which actually would be more conducive if they were the opposite sizes. So let's go in there, Control Alt S, make this one bigger, and grab that one, Control Alt S, make that one smaller. Okay, so that one is kind of just there to complete the spine chain, and it doesn't really need to deform anything, so let's go ahead and turn that off. And then this guy, he's going to be kind of where the hips, you know, when you're walking, you don't really rotate there at the tip of your spine, you kind of rotate there around your belly button area, which is where this would be. Especially, usually women, when they're walking, their hips will shake, or will rotate more than, say, a male's, for instance. But let me do a couple of things here. We don't need this many pieces in our spine. I'm going to go ahead and grab these two guys and W Actually, I guess I need to be in edit mode first. W and no. Grab that guy. Trying to figure out how to merge these. Let's see. Alt M. Merge bones within the chain. It's gonna work. Oh no, I think I might have just locked up Blender. Come on. Don't lock up on me. Think about it. Think about it. Oh no, the white screen of death. This is not good. Let me pause the recorder until this clears up. Stand by. Ah yes, it crashed completely, and as you can see I had to restart from scratch. So I know what you're thinking. We lost our file, oh no, we gotta start all over. No, that's not the case sometimes. Let's see if we can recover it. Let's go File. Recover Autosave. And you can see a list of all the autosaves that Blender does from time to time. And if we display as a detailed list, it'll throw our date out here by the side. And today is July 29th. So I'm sure when you see this, it'll be a few days later. So let's just look for July 29th. July 29th, 1936. That's probably, is that it? Yes, I think so. That means 7:36. It's about 7:39 now. Has it been 3 minutes ago? Maybe. Maybe it was this one. No, I think it was this one because I was just playing. Anyways, you can look at your time and your date and kind of get an idea of if this is the correct one. So let's just recover this one right here. Recover autosave. And is it? Go to pose mode. And it looks like it is. All right. So let's not do what we did before. Okay, it didn't save past where I merged the hips. So let's go ahead and do that again real quick. Pop in edit mode, delete that guy right there. And this guy we're going to make a little smaller. Alt Control S, get smaller. Tab into or Z into wireframe view so we can see what we're doing. Grab that guy, Shift S, cursor to selection, Shift S, selection to cursor, boom. Okay, so now let's grab that guy, make him a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay, so now this one rotates around the top, this one rotates around the bottom, and it's just there for completion of the chain. So let's go ahead and turn off the form there. Same-o. Grab that guy. Okay, now, a little bit different. Grab this guy, and we don't want him to inherit the rotation. So we grab this, rotate it back and forth. You can see that it kind of rotates our hips. So we can kind of rotate them all around like so. So anyways, when they're walking, you can go do-dum, 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 or whatever. Okay, now, a couple other bones we don't need, like this one here. Tab in edit mode, delete that guy. Yes. And what I was wanting to do before was merge these guys, which is kind of the rib cage, or the back of the spine. They don't really need to rotate that much. So what I wanted to do before was merge. I'm going to go ahead and save this, by the way. Actually, I need to save it as a new file since it still has the old files. It's still saving in my temp directory. I need to make sure that I go ahead and put it back in. I think I'm still in the dragon folder. Human rig, yes. And save over the old one. Yes. Okay. So like I said, we could go W. Is it W? No, it was merge. Actually, Alt M. Merge the bone. I'll try it again. Hopefully it won't lock up this time. Merge the bones, and I think it is. Glad I saved it. Let me pause the recorder. Start Blender all over again. Hold on. Okay, here we are. But since we saved it, we can just open it back up. There we go, just right where we stopped. I guess Blender doesn't like merging bones. So let's just let's do this. Just grab one of them, delete the selected bone, and then we'll grab the tip of the other one, Shift S, cursor to selected. Grab the tip of that one, Shift S, selection to cursor, and there we go. Same basic principle, pose mode, of doing it, of just merging. Got a few extra bones in here that I don't usually use. I usually use one for the hips, one for the spine, chest, one for the neck, one for the head. But as you can see, we have quite a few in here. I like to just give them segments instead of actually individual bones. So let's go ahead and clear some of those up. Need to get rid of 2 of these guys, so let's just grab those, delete the selected bones, and Shift S, cursor to selected, grab that guy, Shift S, selection to cursor. Now let's move the neck part up a little bit, and the spine part up some. Ooh, actually we need to connect these guys. I thought they were already. Let's see, what would be the parent, I guess, down here. So we'll go Shift, Control P, connected, grab that, there we go. Side view, let's move that up some, about like so. And let's go ahead and grab our hips and rotate those back some. Actually, just on the x-axis. But it's rotating, it's rolling the bone, so let's just Control N, z-axis up, there we go. Sorry, I think I bumped the microphone there, so apologize if you heard a burst of static for some reason. So now I grab what I call the spine bone, spine 02, and give it a few segments. And you can see it's twisted around because when we did the Control N on the hip bones here, they rotated around. So I like to have everything bend. It's going to bend its normal bend along the x-axis. So let's grab all these bones here. Control N. Actually, tab into edit mode first. Control N, z-axis up. You can see that they are rotating around. Will be rotating around the x-axis now, but it's pointing in the other direction. So it's kind of the opposite way than the hips are facing. Except for this one. So, okay, yeah, that one needs to rotate. Control R, and if you hold down Shift, actually, let's hit Control R and then hit 180, and it'll rotate it 180 degrees. So now it should be lined up perfectly, aligned along with the others. Rotate that like so. All right, and now give the neck bone some segments. And okay, so I think we're good to go there. Let's make the head bone a little bit bigger. Tab in edit mode, Control Shift, Control Alt S, scale it up. And something you can do, you know, heads are usually a little skinnier than they are long, so we can do Control Alt S and then hit X, and it'll only scale it along the x-axis. I didn't used to think you could do that with bones, but I have learned how. I've seen the light. All right, so now I think we are pretty straightforward on our rig. I think it's. Let's give the head bone. Let's turn off its inherent rotation as well. So now, say he's riding a bicycle or he's jogging or something, or say she's walking and she's rotating. She's really bebopping along. That head's going to stay straight. Okay, so now we got our rig pretty well set up, except it's only half of it. So let's go into our edit mode, grab this whole left side, just the left side, don't select anything on the middle, and let's make sure. Okay, looks like we got some bending in our spine here. That needs to be perfectly straight. So let's select all those and hit S on your keyboard, X, and 0. There we go. Scaling it doesn't really change it unless you hit Alt, Control Alt S, and that still doesn't change it. That just changes the shape of it. But anyways, to line it up, just select them all and hit S and then X0, like I did. Select them all, S, X, scales on the X-axis, 0%, so it flattens everything out. Now it's in pose mode, and you can see it's still bent, but that's because it's bent in a pose. So hit Alt R, clears out that. Okay, so as I was saying, go into edit mode, select all the left side, and deselect that head. Let's make sure our cursor is in the center. Actually, let's go ahead and select one of these points down here, and Shift S, cursor to select it. There we go, it's perfectly in the center. Now we'll select all these guys, not the head, and we'll hit Shift D to duplicate that, and then just click out, and we'll scale that on the X-axis, and this time we hit -1. And let's escape out there. We need to make sure we go rotate around the 3D cursor. So now SX -1. So it's just -1 on your numpad. And there we go. So now we have, actually first we go to Armature and flip names, because when we just copied them over, you can see here that it just put a 001 after it. So it's still saying it's left side 001. But we don't want that. We want it to be the right side. So let's select all these guys again. And we'll go Armature flip names. And now you can see that they are .r. And that's good for matching poses onto both sides. Like say you want to just, let's have this arm just kind of hanging limply at the side. Let's go back to median point rotation. Like so. And say you just want to rotate the hand a little bit more of a relaxed pose. Like so. You want the other hand to look exactly like that. Just select all those guys. Go over here and copy that and then paste it. You're like, uh-oh, what happened? That's not the mirror pose at all. Well, what happens when you copy over in edit mode? Email pop up, sorry about that. They kind of deformed, they kind of rolled kind of strangely. So we need to fix that, and the way we fix that is go over here to your tool shelf and scroll that down and turn on X-axis mirror. And now select all these guys here. And this is very important. We're going to hit Control-R to start our bone roll, but we're not going to move our mouse. We don't want to actually roll anything. We just want to set it to start going. And you watch this other side. They're all going to pop into place. Boom. I'll just click back out. And there we go. Is that the X-axis mirror, when we're going to rotate these guys, it says, okay, reset these guys to have the mirrored rotation of these guys. So that's basically how you do that. Okay, so that's kind of how you get a jump start on building a rig, so you don't have to go through and name everything. That takes a long time, usually. But anyways, that'll cover this tutorial, and hope you learned a thing or two. Hope I wasn't too spastic with my computer crashing and everything. I don't know, it seems like a fairly new occurrence, but anyways. So that'll do it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.